Okay, while that's being delivered, we'll sort this out. So, same as previously, 10 minutes, and if you wish us to ask questions...
I know the rules now.
Good on you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening. I understand you have my written submission before you, dated 26th of May. If you have read it, you will note that I am opposed to the Regional Council investing any more money in the RWSS for a number of reasons, which I detailed. Principally, the means, destroying the Makaroa River, do not justify the ends, especially when there are other ways to achieve the more worthy of those ends. And second, the price being charged for the water is too high for it to be economic for farmers to buy. And you heard of someone this morning say that you have to be crazy to sign up for 35 years. And too low to cover the true cost of the water, which means the scheme will need ongoing ratepayer subsidisation. And I've got a note there about on the proposal offer of units in the Tukituki Trust investment partnership. It says what water users that commit to contracted water prior to financial close will be offered the highly reliable water at a discount for the initial years of operation. So that is an unquantified discount on an already subsidised price for an unspecified period. I next comment that the Regional Council has been loath to identify the risks. Despite this, it's better to know piece of propaganda. The Council seems to be much happier that it is not better for ratepayers to know. And then in my submission I've listed a number of examples. That's what that little squiggle on the left there is. In that same not widely distributed piece of propaganda, it didn't get down to Central Hawke's Bay at all as far as I know. I mean, the boxes were probably still at the back door here when I was here a couple of weeks ago. The Council claims that no movement of rates proposed as a result of RWSS. As you will see in my submission, I have listed a number of reasons why I disagree and why I think the investment statement of proposal needs to be amended to state that rates will more than likely increase as a result of RWSS. That 5.8% per annum increase proposed for the coming year rather than the usual 1 to 2% is just the start. The scheme is unlikely to come in on budget. Think big projects never do, so more money will be needed, which means that should the Council defy logic and decide to invest the $80 million, then there is a strong chance the ratepayers will be called on to front up with more money to protect the initial investment. As I stated above, there are better ways to invest $80 million in Hawke's Bay. I am not just a knocker or a naysayer. All along, I have been putting forward alternatives. I know the Regional Council already subsidises the fencing off of some sensitive areas, but what I am proposing is a much grander vision. There would be widespread community benefit from the Regional Council paying for the fencing off and planting up of wetlands to create sponges all over the place, which would slow down runoff and even out river flows, and also of riparian margins to protect and improve water quality. Rather than destroying the Makaroa and having to build a massive distribution network, the Regional Council would be better off helping those landowners who want to irrigate to build storage dams on their own farms. Graham Hansen, in his evidence to the Board of Inquiry, claimed it was more economic to build one huge industrial reservoir. In my representation, I listed a whole lot of unaccounted for costs, which, if taken into account, would definitely tip the balance back the other way. The construction of these wetlands, reservoirs, etc. would also more likely employ more locals than the RWSS would. So under current proposal, there's going to be a lot of outside people coming in. If this is kept local, it will employ more local people, which is one of the aims of this whole project. And so then, in the statement of proposal, on a particular page which I've noted, there's gobbledygook like 5,350 job years of work. I mean, hopefully we'll be spared that sort of stuff. I then go on to talk about exempting these fenced-off areas from rates as an incentive to get landowners to do such work. You will see I comment that the need to make a commercial return of every square centimetre of land is a huge barrier, but the benefit to the whole community would be huge. Rhea Dacent, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Federated Farmers, made a submission on this subject to due on your annual plan and followed it up in an article in last Thursday's Hawke's Bay Today. What I am proposing would go much further than just QE2 Trust covenanted blocks and certain designated landscape protection areas. Let us really have some vision for the future of Hawke's Bay. It would need the appropriate investment by a local government body that is interested in paying more than just lip service to the environment. Not one that has been subsumed by economic growth at all costs, or speculating with ratepayers' money in the hope of greater returns on investment, no matter what the risk. And so to make it administratively feasible to exempt rates on such areas, I presume they would need to be surveyed off and registered. So that is why I have made the further submission about the Regional Council also paying for that. Having talked to various farmers about building reservoirs, etc., they all mention the astronomically expensive resource consent fees. So under my proposal, those fees would at the very minimum need to be heavily subsidised as well. I've read about the only people that can make irrigation work are the top 10% of farmers. I've also read that there's the top 10% of farmers could also increase production by 40% without irrigation. So you don't actually need such a big, massive scheme to increase production in the local economy. And to finish off, I would like to reiterate my call for a binding referendum of all ratepayers in Hawke's Bay. For the reason, I am told you might need to stand on your head to read some of those reasons. Apparently it's upside down. The referendum would need to ask whether we wish to have ratepayer money invested in the RWSS, $80 million for starters, and used to subsidise irrigators on an ongoing basis. And this referendum could be held at the same time as a referendum on amalgamation. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, questions? Councillor Scott.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Perring. You refer to the sponge concept as an alternative investment, and you've just said that has already been done under the land management. You want to see it on a much wider scale.
Yes.
You would be happy not to get any financial return on that money? I'm just trying to work out what does investment mean. Are you using it in a wider than the financial return on money?
Yes. So it's going to be better for the, like the regional council is, as I understand, in my idealistic world, the regional council would be looking after the environment rather than being a money-making venture. So,
can I just follow that up with, if that was the case and there's no return on investment money, you'd be happy to see that there would be a rate increase to make up that loss of investment return?
Yeah, if need be, yeah. I think that's what the regional council is for. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Barkin.
Thank you. My question, thank you for your submission. It took me a little bit to read your writing, but finally I got it.
Thank you.
My question is, do you expect the Regional Council to comply with the highest standards of fiduciary responsibility when making its decision on the Ruataniwha water scheme and investing $80 million of ratepayers' money into it. And by that, do you accept that it would require, the regional council should have access to a complete and updated business case, and should be able to see for themselves that the 40 million cubic metres is guaranteed for either both take and supply?
Yes, yes, and yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Thank you very much for your very thoughtful submission and the verbal accompaniment on the day, and we thank you very much.
Thank you very much once again. Will we leave that on, or?
Leave it on. We'll